Morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, can I welcome all the re-elected members, and most especially all the new members who have been elected a couple of weeks ago for their first meeting. Could you please remain standing for prayers?
Let us pray. Guide, we pray, O Lord, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, all ministers of the Crown, members of Parliament, peers of the realm, the councillors, executive and officers of this borough of Redcar and Cleveland, that in the power of your Holy Spirit, all those whom you have called to public service may be blessed with wisdom and right judgment in all things. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord.
Amen.
Almighty God, the maker and ruler of all things, we humbly beseech you to bless and prosper the people of our borough of Redcar and Cleveland. Strengthen our commerce, sustain our industries, nourish our agriculture, strengthen and sustain all our communities, bless the work of our charities, uphold and support our children, and prosper all places of education, that this our borough may truly be a place where all generations can flourish. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
And may the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge and love of God and of his Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. And may the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be upon you and upon your councils this day and forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Our first item of business is to receive any apologies for absence.
I think we've got apologies for Billy Ayres. Yeah. Okay. We've lost him for the minute. Can I make a quick statement, Mr. Mayor?
Sorry,
Can I make a quick statement and a couple of thank yous? Firstly, I'd like to welcome all councillors and congratulations on your election, and welcome, and we've got some old faces here and some new faces. We're looking very much forward to working with all of you and do some good business for Redcar and Cleveland residents. I'd also like to say a quick thank you to a gentleman who's presided over us with honour, dignity and calmness, and has kept us in order with great ease. And I hope the new mayor has as much class. And finally, it would be amiss of me not to thank our leader of 4 years. She's very small in stature, but she's absolutely been a giant in this chamber. And when we first came here when I first came here 4 years ago, that very first full council was the Boosbeck Abattoir, and that gallery up there was absolutely full with people, very angry and rightly so. And Sue kept a very calm head, and we got through that situation, and it was resolved. And we've had some troubling times throughout that 4-year period with the collapse of SSI, and we're seeing history repeat itself right now. And again, through that period, we've looked after all those workers, and that's still ongoing right now today. And yet here our leader is, she worked harmoniously right across this chamber and has received high praise from the opposition. She might have tiny feet, but they're going to be big boots to fill. So I thank you both, Mr. Mayor, Leader, Councillor Teasdale, Councillor Jeffries, Dennis and Sue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Quartermail. Very much appreciate those sentiments. I've thoroughly enjoyed the year, and so has my wife as mayoress. I've even enjoyed chairing the meetings of the council. And I fully echo the sentiments that you made about Councillor Jeffrey, who enjoyed working with her. She's gone out of her way to be inclusive across the council, and that was, I'm sure, has been very much appreciated by the other groups. So I fully echo those sentiments. Thank you very much, Sue. Are there any other apologies for absence? Okay. The second item is a bit of sadness on my part because it's the election of the new mayor. Can I ask for nominations for mayor, please?
Councillor Billy Wells, Mr. Mayor.
Do I have a seconder?
Right to speak, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Nightingale. Any other nominations?
Councillor Sheila Hollyoak, and if I could say a couple of words about Sheila. She's been a great ambassador for Gisborough. She's worked very hard, and in testament to her work in the ward, the fact that she got re-elected in Gisborough. She's already had the honour of sitting at that chair, and she did so with class and dignity. And we very much recommend her and nominate her.
Okay. Do I have a seconder, please? Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Okay. Any other nominations for mayor? Okay. Does the proposers or seconders wish to say anything before we go into the election? Councillor Lanigan.
Mr. Mayor, I've known Councillor Wells for 4 years. He is a honourable gentleman, has a great sense of humour. He is a people person, and he will excel within Redcar and Cleveland as the mayor of this borough. And I am proud to nominate him, and I am sure that he will do extremely well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lanigan. Councillor Nightingale, do you wish to say anything? Okay. Anyone else? Was a seconder for Councillor Hollyoak wish to say anything? Okay. Right. Can we go straight into the election then? Can I ask all those who wish to vote for Councillor Wells to show hands, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40.
Could please have a show of hands for Councillor Hollyoak, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
I declare that Councillor Wells is elected as Mayor of Redcar and Cleveland for the forthcoming year. Councillor Wells would like to come forward, please.
I'd just like to say before we go into the rota of the meeting, I'd like to thank all my fellow councillors for endorsing me as mayor, and I will honestly do my best to prove a good mayor for you all. Thank you. We go to item 3 now, the election of deputy mayor. So could I have nominations for the election of deputy mayor, please?
Mr. Mayor, could I nominate Carol Morgan? She's one of 2 wonderful colleagues that I have in the Ormsby ward, and I think she'll be an excellent deputy for you in this coming year.
Can I second that, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. I was just going to ask for a second. Thanks. Any other nominations?
We would like to nominate Councillor Chris Foley McCormack, long-standing councillor, for the deputy mayor post, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
And could I have a seconder, please? Could I have a show of hands in favour of Councillor Morgan, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38.
And a show of hands for Councillor Chris Foley McCormack, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
I'd like to announce that Councillor Morgan is duly elected as Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Could I have the approval of the minutes of the last annual general meeting on May 2018, please? Somebody proposed.
Move them. Can I move the minutes, please, of that meeting?
Thank you. Is that all agreed? Yep, thank you. Any announcements from the Mayor, one from me and the Chief Executive? You got any announcements? Right. The formal Mayor's investiture will be on Wednesday, 29th of May 2019 at 11 AM here in the Heart. All members are invited to attend, and during my term as office, the charities that I will be supporting are Zoe's Place and Eva's Women's Aid. Any announcements from the Chief Executive?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No announcements today.
We go to item 6, elect the leader of the council. Could I ask for nominations for the leader, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could I propose Councillor Mary Lanigan, please, for leader?
And a seconder, please?
Me.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Mary Lanigan's duly elected as leader of the council. Thank you. Does the new leader of the council have any announcements to make, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you all for your support. And I will do the very best I can for the whole of Redcar Cleveland. This is what this is about. The Cabinet members are as follows. The Deputy Leader of the Council is Karen King, who will be taking a small portfolio of culture and communications. Councillor Glyn Nightingale will be Cabinet Member for Resources. Mary Ovens, Councillor Mary Ovens, will be Cabinet Member for Adults. Councillor Barnes, Alison, will be Cabinet Member for Children. Councillor Davis is Economic Growth. Councillor Kay is Health, Housing and Welfare. And Councillor Barry Hunt is Neighbourhoods. If you could indulge me, Mr. Mayor, I just need to make a brief announcement. You will be all aware of the briefing note that went out from the Chief Executive yesterday regarding the current situation with British Steel. The company has around 700 staff on Teesside, including plants in our borough, of course, that you're aware of at Skinny Grove and down at Lackenby. This is quite worrying, following on from what happened last time. The closure of the Redcar Steelworks had a profound effect right across the borough. And of course many people were affected. I can assure you that the council will do everything in its power to sustain the steel industry and provide support and assistance where that is necessary. Hopefully that is not going to be the case. The Chief Executive and I are up at an emergency meeting tomorrow with the rest of the leaders of the Tees Valley and the Tees Valley Mayor. The meeting will agree a coordinated plan of action and we will go forward with that. In the meantime, the council is making the usual preparations, which, as I've said, I hope isn't going to be necessary. We're all in this together. We've got to make sure that we keep steel on Teesside, whatever we've got to do, that, and there will be another announcement from me tomorrow once we have spoken to everybody else, because this impacts on us markedly, with it being Skinny Grove and Lackenby, and we will work together to make sure that we get the right result. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hannigan. Councillor King, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations on your appointment. I'd also like to thank Councillor Dennis Teasdale for the excellent work he did as an ambassador for the borough during his last year, and thank you to the new leader of the council for putting a faith in me to be a deputy. If you just indulge me, I'd just like to say a few words. Since 2010, this authority has wrestled with year after year of increasing budget pressures and reduced spending power. Elected members from all parties have fought hard to protect our residents from the worst of austerity, prioritising core services and putting vulnerable residents at the heart of the council's agenda. I'd like to imagine that over the next 4 years things will start to get easier, that we will be able to start growing rather than reducing our services, but the outlook doesn't look hopeful. Today we are faced with many dilemmas. The number of looked after children is at an all-time high. Health inequality and child poverty is rising. Reported crime is increasing and secondary educational attainment is down. And whilst we cannot turn back the clock, we can and we must prevent the tide from advancing further. Each and every one of us in this chamber has both the mandate and also the responsibility to put the needs of this borough before all else, to ensure that over the next 4 years we work as one to deliver the best outcomes we can, to continue streamlining our services, yes, but to keep the most vulnerable at the heart of our agenda too. We must remember also that it's not just this authority's budget which has been cut to the quick, but those of countless ancillary service providers too. Mental health charities, domestic violence provision, probation, policing, the list goes on, and each one of these cuts contributes and perpetuates the downward spiral. This administration, Mr Mayor, will seek to work side by side with all elected members, irrespective of the colour of their rosettes or whether they voted to leave or remain. The stakes are too high to let party politics get in the way of delivering essential services to all of our residents, especially now they're under threat. And I would like to put it on the record that the leader and I will be opening our door to opposition group leaders so that together we can identify the best way forward. If there's one thing I've learned from my first 4 years in this chamber, is that we are at our very best when we put people before politics and work collectively for the greater good. The devastating news of British Steel going into administration is another cruel blow to the residents of Redcar and Cleveland, one which may make people despair and ask just how much more we can take. And I sincerely hope a solution to the current crisis can be found quickly to ensure the jobs are secured, not only for the current employees and their families' sake, but also for future generations. Despite this, though, and amidst the doom and gloom, there are glimmers of possibility on the horizon as we build our relationship with a combined authority and look to our extensive regeneration plans, including the former SSI site. So let's all go forward together. Let's embrace the spirit of partnership in which the Independents and Liberal Democrats have come together, putting aside our differences on behalf of our residents. We're all here for the same reasons after all. I'm sure we'll all agree that Redcar and Cleveland is a wonderful place to live, work and play, and we must do everything within our power to ensure it remains so.
Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor Carl Quarterman, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just very briefly, we've got a long meeting ahead of us, but I'd just like to echo the sentiments and the words of the two previous speakers. We have all got to work together, absolutely. This is devastating news. We've been here before, back in 2015. We know the score, we know what's ahead of us. You know, this has been a 4-year journey for us, and we're still working at protecting those workers from SSI. And I wrote to the CEO about this, and the only thing I can say is within the council, the authority, our partners, DWP, we've got the reassurance there that we have done this before, we've got the experience, and we're there to pick up the pieces. But we absolutely need our government to step up and take control of this situation. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Quarterman. Come to item 8, to appoint scrutiny committees and such other committees and working parties, chairs, vice chairs, as the council considers appropriate. Would the leader like to nominate?
Mr Mayor, I would like to move on block, if we can, with these. I don't know whether there is going to be. So actually what I'll do is we will go through them step by step, if that's all right with you. So
can we just, before we do that, can we just move on block the actual membership of the committee?
Yes. Before
we move on to the election of chairs and vice chairs?
That's fine, Chief Exec, and if we can just move on block, because it is the membership that we've actually got, the new ones that we've actually got here, and then we will go through the chairs and vice chairs. Is that okay? Thank you, Mr Mayor. So if we can just move those on block, thank you.
Clarification just on that. Are we talking the committees from Governance Committee all the way through to the Growth, Enterprise, Scrutiny and Improvement Committee? Yeah, thank you, Mary.
Is that seconded, please? Thank you. All agreed? Right, thank you. So we move on now to the chairs and vice chairs.
that has taken us through to the part in the booklet where it says the Cleveland Fire Authority. So we now need to move again en bloc unless there are any other nominations for any of the subsequent committees.
Unless there are any others. See, Councillor Quartermain's got his light on.
Clarification of what's happening regarding the scrutiny committees. Are we going to be voting on these now because we've got nominations for these?
Yeah, if I can just clarify, at the moment we're just doing the membership of the committees. So the leader has moved en bloc all of the committees in your book in front of you up until the Fire Authority. She's now moved all the committees in the rest of the book, which includes the Fire Authority, the North York Moors, etc. So if you've got any other nominations, you need to put them forward.
So for the North York Moors National Park Authority, we'd like to propose Chris Massey and Councillor Cook.
This isn't in the list that's just been enunciated. These are proportional ones, and additional nominations surely can't be made.
Some are not proportionate, and the North York National Park isn't a proportionate. So we've already had 2 nominations for the North York National Park, which are Councillors Moody and Berry, and now we've had 2 more, which are Massey and Cook, did you say? Yes? So we'll now need to move to a ballot for these positions. But if we can move the others en bloc, we can move on with the agenda while we're organising the ballot. Is that agreed? Yes? Okay. Just to explain what's going to happen now for the benefit of new members, we're just going to issue a ballot. If I can just have your attention for 2 minutes. We're going to issue a ballot paper on which you should write the 2 names that you'd like to represent the council on the North York Moors. And if you can do that straight away, and then we're going to collect the ballot papers again, and the team will go and count the votes, but we will carry on with the rest of the meeting in the meantime while that mini election is taking place.
Possible to ask the candidates to speak and tell us why they think they're for this post.
Councillor Quartermain, your request is not the norm, but we will allow you to speak. Councillor Massey.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to speak. I think most of the members in the chamber know me, but some don't. But I've been the council's representative on the North York Moors National Park for the last six and a half years. It's an honour that I've had for those 6.5 years to serve there. I've been at the forefront of a lot of national park policy over those years. For instance, the York Potash application, which I played a prominent role, but also the fact that the North York Moors continues to have 2 representatives at Redcar and Cleveland. Without me, you wouldn't have 2 representatives. There was a vote. I had to get people to vote for us to continue to have our 2 representatives from Redcar and Cleveland, because it is made up from across the North York Moors area. I don't want to speak for too long, but I've really enjoyed the opportunity, and for anyone who doesn't know me, I really appreciate your support. So thank you.
Would any of the other candidates like to speak? We now move on to the election of chairs and vice chairs, and we're starting with the governance committee. Could we have nominations for that, please? The chair.
Morgan, Mr. Mayor.
Can I just clarify, did you say Councillor Morgan? Yes, thank you.
Any other nominations? Councillor Morgan is duly elected as chair, and we're nominations now for vice chair, please.
Harry. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Councillor Berry is duly elected. Thank you. Nominations for chair for the Employment, Health and Safety Committee.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Irene Nightingale, duly elected. Could I have nominations for vice chair?
Councillor Baldwin.
And a sec. Thank you. Any other nominations? No. Councillor Baldwin is vice chair of the Employment, Health and Safety Committee. Nominations for the chair of the Resources Scrutiny and Improvement Committee. Beg your pardon, I've turned 2 pages. The Regulatory Committee, nominations for chair, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other nominations? Could I have a show of hands for all those in favour of Councillor Smith, please?
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29.
Yeah. And a show of hands for Councillor Foggo, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Councillor Stuart Smith is elected chair of Regulatory Committee. Nominations for vice chair, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Girls. Head. Could I have a show of hands for those in favour of the Vice Chair for Regulatory Committee for Councillor Head, please?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 at the back there.
And for Councillor Foggo, please. Sorry, Councillor Ryder.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
So Councillor Head is elected as Vice Chair of the Regulatory Committee. Move on to Resources Scrutiny Improvement Committee. A nomination for Chair, please.
Make a point of order, please. I think as a matter of principle, I think it's important that the opposition groups should occupy the positions of scrutiny. It's a precedent that I think was established under Councillor Jeffrey's administration, and I think it was the right thing to do. I think it's also the right thing to do, in principle, that the shall we call it, the controlling group should not take part in this operation. However, it is also important that I think that the opposition groups should be capable of sorting this out between them and sharing the post. And it may well become quite clear that the opposition parties have not been able to come to some sort of agreement. Now, quite clearly, we could have some sort of recess where they could actually get together and talk about this. I think this is rather unlikely, and it would prolong the meeting. But as far as the Liberal Democrat group is concerned, we should be voting on the basis that, as individuals with no whip, on the basis of the selection of chairman and vice chairman, on the basis that we consider to be the best people for the job. And I hope that will be something that we should be considering for the future, that the issue of scrutiny posts should almost automatically be allocated to committee chairmanships I'm talking about, should be allocated to the opposition main parties and groups. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Committees, and I really am disappointed fully at what's happened today, and if it's going to continue the way it's going at the moment, then I don't think we're going to get full value as a council the way these votes are going. But I just fully endorse what you just said. Oh, it says it is scrutiny.
We haven't voted on the Scrutiny Improvement Committee chairs as yet. So, Councillor Carl Courtney, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I agree with the sentiment, and I think we should all be working together. However, I propose we move business and we nominate Chris Massey for this post. Thank you.
Can I have a second, please, Mr. Mayor? Thank you. Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Foggo.
Seconded. Thank you. Can I have a show of hands for Councillor Massey then, please?
Eleven, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42.
And a show of hands for Councillor Foggo, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
So Councillor Massey is elected as chair. Can I have nominations for the vice chair, please?
Mr Mayor, we nominate Alec Brown.
Any other nominations?
Second, Councillor Brown.
No more nominations? Right, Councillor Brown is elected vice chair, Resources Scrutiny and Improvement Committee. Move on to Children's and Family Scrutiny and Improvement Committee. Could I have nominations for the chair, please?
We nominate Councillor Hannaway.
Second, please, Mr Mayor.
8, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. Can I show of hands for Councillor Hannaway, please? Show of hands for Councillor Jackson, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38.
Councillor Jackson is elected as chair, Children's and Families. Nominations for vice chair, please.
We nominate Councillor Williams.
Can I have second, please, Mr Mayor?
Nominate Councillor Cooney.
Can I have a seconder, please?
Second that.
Thank you. Show of hands for Councillor Williams, please.
Ten, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15.
And a show of hands for Councillor Cook, please. Cooney, sorry.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37.
Councillor Cooney is elected as Vice Chair, Children's Family Scrutiny and Improvements Committee. Next is Adults and Community Scrutiny and Improvement Committee. Can I have a nomination for Chair, please?
Mr Mayor, we nominate Councillor Hollyoak.
Mr Mayor.
Any other nominations? Councillor Hollyoaks is duly elected as Chair of Adults and Community Scrutiny. Can I have nominations for Vice Chair, please?
Councillor Pallister.
Mr Mayor, please.
Any other nominations? Councillor Pallister is duly elected Vice Chair. Growth, Enterprise and Environment Scrutiny and Improvement Committee. Nominations for Chair, please.
We nominate Councillor Brown.
Mr Mayor.
May I nominate Councillor Teasdale?
In that.
Thank you. A show of hands for Councillor Brown, please.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14.
And a show of hands for Councillor Teasdale, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41.
Councillor Teasdale is elected Chair of Growth Enterprise and Environment Scrutiny and Improvement Committee. Nominations for Vice Chair, please.
Councillor Foley McCormack, Mr Mayor.
May I nominate Councillor Craig?
Seconder, please.
Seconder.
Thank you.
The name, please.
Craig.
Can I have a show of hands for Councillor Foley McCormack, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35.
Move on to Corporate Parenting Board nominees. Nominators for Chair, please.
Councillor Hannaway, Mr Mayor.
Seconder, please.
Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor.
Any other nominations?
King, Mr Mayor.
Yeah. Show of hands for Councillor Hannaway, please. And a show of hands for Councillor King, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35.
Councillor King is duly elected the Chair of Corporate Parenting Board. Can I have nominations for the Vice Chair, please?
Councillor Rees.
Seconder, please.
Did you just say that again, sorry?
Rees. R-E-E-S, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. And a seconder? Yep. Other nominations, please?
Mr Mayor, may I nominate Councillor Jackson?
A show of hands for Councillor Reid, please. And a show of hands for Councillor Jackson, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson is Vice Chair, Corporate Parenting Board. We have the results in for the vote on the North Yorks Moors. Councillor Massey 20, Councillor Cook 15, Councillor Moody 37, Councillor Bear 35. So the two positions are taken by Councillor Moody and Councillor Bear. Okay. I think it might be Berry, that is it? Councillor Berry, sorry. We now move on to item 9 to elect members to represent Cleveland Council in various positions roles outside bodies. So could I ask the leader of the council to put them forward in block, please?
Mr. Mayor, could I move those on block unless there are any that anybody else wanted to put in? Thank you. It's quite right.
Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you. All agreed? Thank you. Item 10, to agree the scheme as delegation is set out in Part 3 of the Constitution, subject to the power of the leader to approve a scheme for the delegation of executive powers. But ask the leader to set out, to move it, please.
Move that, Mr. Mayor.
And seconded.
Councillor Quartermain seconded.
All agreed on that? Thank you. To approve a programme of ordinary meetings of the Council of the following year, could the leader move the approval for the meetings July, October, November, January, February and April, May?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move them.
Seconded.
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hollyoaks.
The Mayor, this is because there's no any other business on this meeting, but one of the things that's concerned me, especially during the last administration, were the number of people who aren't religious, and that is not a criticism of anybody at all, is the fact that they wait outside of the venue before coming into the council chamber, and quite often we've had sort of our 1 minute silence for people who've maybe died, you know, or got some connection with this council. And I think, can we not have that after the prayers have been said? It's just that little tiny switch, which just means that people who aren't religious can actually come in and pay their respects. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Right, it is noted, and we'll look into it. Thanks.
If I may indulge, I would like to say a few words briefly as group leader of the smallest group on this local authority. However, I would like to first of all congratulate the leader and deputy leader of the partnership. Our group wishes you every success in leading this authority. Councillor King has reminded us so eloquently of the challenges facing us all. And I use all because, having been elected, it is important that we first think about the residents who elected us, even those who did not, but also the challenge that we have as an authority to help those, particularly those in need. So I can say on behalf of our group that we will be doing all we can to participate in the deliberations in this chamber, to participate in the deliberations in committee, to work hard with officers who serve well this authority, and to do our very best collectively to deliver for all the residents. Now, before me at least, I see a wonderful frieze by Philip Beauville. It reminds us of the heritage in Teesside, if we ever needed reminding of it. So I wish you well with your endeavours to retain the last vestige of the steel heritage on Teesside. What we still have here are centres of excellence. We must give them every support. The employees who work within those industries, the families and the community who depend so much upon their success. So I wish officers and you as leaders of the authority success in that particular endeavour. So it remains simply for me to wish the Mayor. I will have some more to say at your inauguration, sir, and to wish the partnership every success in leading this authority.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. The programme that's just been read out for the council meetings, could I have a show of hands that it's approved, please? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Right, I'd like to thank you all for attending and promise to practice for the next one and see if we can get it right. Thank you very much. Meeting ended.